Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pongers. My name is Anthony,
My name is Ryan.
and welcome to episode 2 of our basically new podcast at this point. It's still new, we're only recording episode 2. Who
Yeah,
knows what'll happen at this point?
I would call that fairly new as well.
Yeah.
But hey, episode 2 is one more in the books, so we're the oldest we've been so far.
Yeah. This week you can expect to hear the usual of Ryan and myself catching up, as well as in the second half of the show for this week's topic, I will be talking to Ryan and teaching him a bit about escape rooms. So if you want to know anything, or maybe listen to what I say and make fun of me for being wrong, that will be in the second half of the show. But for now, for this first half, Ryan, what did you do in the time since we last recorded?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, I haven't done a whole lot. Just kind of going through the motions with work and whatnot, but some things that have changed. First of all, this is a change that you've probably seen at this point. We have some new artwork for our socials.
Yeah.
And I would actually like to shout someone out for doing that incredible work. This is a girl by the name of Kaylee, a friend of mine from an old job that I used to have. She does a lot of stitch work too. So if you like what you see, go follow her on Instagram. You can find her at KEilers_design. That is KEILERS_design.
And we'll be sure to put her
Yep.
links in everywhere that Ryan wants to shout her out in the description of this podcast if you're interested as well.
Yeah, so go check her out. We will, like Tony said, we will put all of that in our descriptions. Excuse me. On top of that, I shaved my head and my beard.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I know
That's
that
pretty exciting.
that artwork's a little misleading at this point. It's something for our hopefully soon to come fans. Something I do every year for Halloween is I shave my head and my beard. I am balding, so I did it. I started shaving my head for the first time during quarantine when I knew nobody would see it, so that I could know what it looked like, and I kind of didn't hate it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So, and then I did it again in Halloween because I wanted to go as Walter White, and I just liked that idea. So now it's a tradition. I go as a bald guy for Halloween, and this year I am going as Mr. Clean.
So you didn't start it as a Halloween costume, but it has turned into that with going Walter White and then Mr. Clean. It's been
Yes.
primarily Halloween, or has it still been like, when my hair gets long enough, just chop it all off regardless of whether it's October or not?
It's I don't know. I guess it's kind of just now like an October thing, but it might divulge into I'll actually just continue to do it. It's not. I don't chop it all off whenever my hair gets long. I get like haircuts still, but come like October is when I start thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
that's
really
fun.
hope that you'll send me some pictures of your Mr. Clean get up for this year if I
Well-
don't see it myself.
Well, I'm sure you will because you'll
Yeah.
be here this weekend.
Yeah, I will.
Which is exciting. First time for
Should
those
I,
of
like I don't know if I'll be bringing my own Halloween costume, so hopefully I won't get
yeah.
completely overshadowed.
I guess I don't know how much I'll get to use it. I still have to talk to Mark and see if there's anything he wants to do or talk to you. For those of you who, I think we said this in our first episode or maybe in episode 0, but Tony and I, Anthony and I haven't actually met in person yet, which I think is
Yep.
hilarious. We met through our friend
This
Mark.
podcasting relationship was formed completely through Discord.
Correct.
It's impressive.
But hey, the chemistry's there.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
But yeah, so that was another thing I thought about when I shaved it. I was like, well, shoot, Anthony is going to not know what I actually look like because when he sees me, I'll have an egghead.
Well, actually, to be fair, the only pictures I've seen of you have been when you have recently shaved your head. So that'll actually be easier for me to recognize you than harder for me to recognize you.
I guess so, yeah. I won't have the goatee, though. I shaved it all off.
Okay.
But yeah. So, well, there's that. Shaved my head. Let's see. What else have I done recently? I guess in terms of like the gaming and other media world, I've started playing modded Minecraft. I know it's not much of an
Yep.
update, but it's with some
Yeah,
mods.
that is a big update. That can be an entire consumption or elimination of like 3 months or more of your whole life as soon as you start doing that.
Yeah, that's true. But Cole and I have played once now, and we're trying to get Hannah to join us too. So it's been pretty fun.
Yeah,
Those are
for
friends
listeners
of
that are
ours,
not
yeah.
aware, those are friends of ours. Yeah, people that I personally went to high school with. So
Also, people I have yet to meet online, but still, nonetheless, becoming good friends of mine. I think
Yeah, they're good people.
they are good people. But yeah, I guess the only other thing I have left to talk about is I've been playing a lot more music recently. Just getting into like
Oh, very nice.
just sitting down and doing some notes. And one of those things, with speaking of doing notes, is another change that will actually come to the podcast hopefully soon is we'll have kind of our own unique and original music for intros and whatnot. So look out for that, everybody. When you hear new music in the intro, you can know that that was made completely by us and our people. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we're currently using music by an independent game developer, Toby Fox. Just, nice little diddly to bring us in, bring us out, but it will be nice to have our own original music. So when you have been playing music, is there anything that you've been focusing on? Since the samples you've sent me have been guitar focused. Remind the audience, if you haven't said so already, what instruments you play.
Sure.
And then also which instruments you've been playing recently when you've been, quote, getting into music again.
Yeah, so well, I'm looking like as I sit at my desk and we're recording. I look at like my guitar stand. I have a bunch of instruments here. I have 2 ukuleles. I have a bass, 2 guitars, a banjo, a mandolin, a violin. I have my couple trombones, and I have a keyboard next to me. So all of those I play except for the banjo. I'm still well, it's a banjo guitar, so I guess I can't really count that. But yeah, I guess I play all of those instruments. Oh, sorry, I don't play the violin. That's something I want to learn how to do really bad. That'd be fun.
Okay, yeah. So you haven't learned it yet, but
I also play a lot of brass. I did marching band for a long time, so I play the trombone, the euphonium. I can play the tuba. I haven't played that in a long time, but can play that. I can play the trumpet, not well, but I can play it. And then I play the piano and all kinds of stuff. Recently, I've been mostly trying to just come up with new tunes and kind of compose music. That's been my goal, like including this project for the podcast. But yeah, I'm incorporating a piano part as well, and then my another friend of mine is going to help me with the percussion. So that's kind of the music I've been dooting along to these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice set right there.
It's
nice
been a lot
set
of fun.
Instruments. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of all I have. So if you want to go ahead and take over, Anthony, what kind of stuff have you been doing? Listening? What have you been listening to?
Yeah, so
watching, reading?
I had a decent amount of stuff since the last time that we recorded.
Yeah.
First of all, I finished Squid Game.
No spoilers.
I think I had. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything, but it's like absolutely worthwhile show. I think it. It's not necessarily that original within like the death game genre, but I still think it carves out its own space and does something worthwhile. That even if it isn't like the absolute #1 biggest show on the planet anymore, it's still worthwhile to check out, still engaging, has something I think really worthwhile to say, a message, really worth hearing in our current age of, delving too deep into that would possibly spoil some of the show. So I'll just say it's got some interesting messages that, maybe not the most subtle, but a worthwhile thing to listen to and watch and experience as the show.
I totally believe it. I've actually talked to quite a few people about Squid Games, including my dad, but I always tell them I still haven't gotten past episode 1, so please no spoilers. I think I'm just going to set aside some time this week and just watch it, because I want to so bad.
Yeah, it'll definitely be like a good thing to do. Not only just for like the general zeitgeist going on right now, but because it is, I think, a genuinely worthwhile show that is well written, well acted, well produced. It's just good. Like anything I would say a good show does, Squid Game does. It's worth your time. Alrighty,
yeah. So, other than the death games, what else have you been absorbing?
Yeah, so last podcast I mentioned that I would be playing Metroid Dread as soon as it showed up.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Metroid is a series that's been running since the 1980s at this point, where it's by and large very focused on exploration. It's a really big reaction to kind of Super Mario Bros. Style gameplay, where, like Super Mario Bros. Always goes from left to right, where in the very first Metroid, you start off and you go to the right and you hit a wall that you can't progress under. No matter what you do, you can't do anything. So you have to go back to the left, and you find a power up that lets you then roll into a ball and go past an exit that you were previously unable to progress through. And that's by and large what all of Metroid is. Encountering walls of progression that you can't go through at the time, so you have to go and fully explore your entire avenue to find everything in there that you can use to progress and go forward to the next area, next boss fight, next whatever mark of progression that you want to do. So I started it and I actually finished it and I got every single item and everything in Metroid Dread. Not that long of a game, but it was really, really worthwhile, especially since we haven't had a core Metroid game of the main series of 2D Metroid games in about 20 years.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's kind of been a long due return to form. And the developers, Mercury Steam, really just kind of knocked like everything out of the park. No real complaints. A few occasionally like wacky bits, maybe a bit overtuned damage, but it's a very satisfying game to explore. Very detailed and fun environments. Samus as a character is kind of minimalist, like mostly silent, but still has some interesting bits and developments that she goes through over the course of Metroid Dread, and it's just a good game. Like
Yeah.
I can't really say much more than that. Like it does everything that it should. It's like good exploration, and that like if you can get me to explore your area and get everything and have fun actually moving through your world, you as a Metroid game have done your job, and
Yeah.
Metroid Dread did its job.
I can't say I have a whole lot of experience with Metroid, as I kind of had said before. Like I've seen gameplay of it, but I've never played it myself. But I guess if you were to do like a rating, like just a quick off the top of your head, what would you give it out of like 5 stars?
Yeah, I mean, so when I narrate things, I usually go to 10 stars. I think it's
Let's
a
do
bit
that.
more expressive.
Sure.
But out of 10 stars, I'd probably give it about a 9.
All right,
Um,
that's a good game right there.
yeah, it's really, really good. Um, I think the only Metroid game I like better than it is Metroid Prime, which, like, we can talk about that some other time, since I don't want to take up too much time, since I have a lot of different things to talk about this week.
Yeah, sure. What else? So you said you've got a lot to talk about. Give us another one. What's next on the list of what's next on what's been going on in the life of you?
Yeah, so I'll stay on my other game related topic while I'm still talking about games. So one of my all time favorite games, if not my all time favorite game, is a game called The Outer Wilds. It's a type of game that I can't talk about too much to somebody who hasn't played it
That would
without
be me.
spoiling everything that makes that game incredibly cool. It's a game that it's not too long. It's kind of on the cheaper side. I think around like $20 to $25 on most major platforms. But it's an experience that you should go in and play knowing nothing about whatsoever. But they recently came out with a new chunk of content that will be like the only extra bit of content released for the Outer Wilds.
Is this like a DLC or?
Yeah, it's a
Gotcha.
DLC, and it's like within like the main story that existed already.
Very nice.
Kind of expands upon it.
I've definitely heard of that game, but I just don't know anything about it. Like I think I have an image of it in my head, but I don't know if I have no basis to know if that's like at all what the game even is related to.
Yeah, so to give like a very vague explanation so I don't ruin any of the stuff, you play as someone who is the newest recruit or the newest launching member of this planet's space exploration system.
Oh.
So you get to go into your ship, go out and fly among this solar system and explore all of the wondrous planets, secrets, and mysteries in your home solar system.
Well, we love a good secret and mystery. I'll say that much.
Oh, yeah. It is fascinating, and there's stuff that I can't talk about without ruining that game.
That's fair, and I'm sure I certainly do, and I'm sure the audience will appreciate that as well.
Yeah. So, and the expansion is a lot more horror themed. It's got like really, really creepy vibes. And I haven't seen all of it yet, but I played a good chunk of it on I think it was Saturday, and also yesterday I played some. just really good to just hop back into that game and
Yeah.
get to do more of like one of my all-time favorite games and just see everything about that game again.
Yeah, it feels a bit like almost there's like you had a really favorite TV show growing up, and now you're an adult and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I would totally go back and watch it again, and then they would come out with like a new like follow up, and you're like,
Yeah,
yes,
and it's like actually good.
Exactly.
In like a rare instance.
in a very rare instance. Yeah, I won't bash any TV shows, but I could think of a laundry list of things that they redid that I did not love, which was a travesty.
Yeah.
If people want to know what those things are, they can comment below and I can maybe respond. But I'll try
I
to.
mean, not from my own perspective. You know, you got stuff like X-Files, and I could like, list off a number. It's like season after many, many years,
Sure.
not received super well.
X-Files to begin with was a great show.
Yeah, I'd really like to watch all of that. I have my parents' box set of that show.
Ooh.
I think I'm just looking for a proper time to just plop that down and just watch all of it, or most of it at the very least.
Heck yeah.
But then I have one more thing to talk about this week. And then,
Yeah, let's hear it.
And then that's my week. So I've been reading a manga series called Shield 21 recently. And I know that you're not plugged into the anime or manga scene whatsoever, so let me just break it down. So Shield 21 is a series about American football. Like Japanese high schoolers learning to fall in love and appreciate and learn to play American football.
I'll be honest.
As opposed to like worldwide football.
That is not what I expected.
Yeah, I mean it's called Eye Shield 21 because like the main character has to keep his identity secret, so he wears an eye shield and his jersey's like number 21.
Sure.
So it's despite football being like the center of one of America's biggest social events of the year with the Super Bowl, I haven't ever really had an appreciation for football ever. Mm-hmm. Too much time for my taste taken up by commercials and stop and start of the play and everything. But it's given me, as someone who has not been able to care about football for every year of my life that I've been alive, given me like an appreciation for the tactics and the different players and every bit of what I've learned about football through this series so far.
That is really great news because for two reasons. One, maybe that is some way that I can divulge a bit more into anime because I love football. I love watching football. I used to like playing it a little bit. And for the second reason, or B, or whatever I said, maybe now you'll like get into like watching football or at least like knowing more about it.
I mean, it's possible. There's like some bits that make me still hesitant to get into football. But, this is a structured story that has, clear
Sure.
like characters development bits and everything that, cuts out all the waiting time instead of, a game taking 3 to 4 hours. I can just sit down, finish a match in like half an hour and have it be, theoretically more exciting.
Yeah.
But on your other bit where it's, that might be a good entry point, I think it definitely could be. The magazine that iShield 21 comes from, Weekly Shonen Jump, they really consistently have high-quality sports series running in its pages. So, they've done really popular series on basketball called Slam Dunk. They've done a series on volleyball called Haikyuu. This one is on American football called iShield 21. There's a series currently running that, has sports as kind of a side focus, but it's about a mix of badminton and basketball called Blue Box, but it focuses a lot more on romance than it does on sports. But there are a lot of different sports series that not only ran for a while, so there's a lot of content that you could theoretically get into, but when a sports series in Jump does well and is well written, it is very, very well done and helps people who aren't even into the sport at all get into something that they didn't know that they liked in the first place.
And that's a really great point. I think that obviously, I mean, I haven't read it, but I know a lot of people that are kind of in your shoes that would read all about this, read all about manga, be super into anime and stuff like that, and just they might even see like that it's about sports and be like, oh, this isn't for me. But this kind of like introduces them to it a little bit if they do start to, divulge into this content. And I don't know, maybe it will. Like I said, it might ignite an interest in sports at least a little bit. But if not, that's okay. It's not your thing. It's not your thing. But I mean, and for people like me who are the opposite, who just haven't experienced a lot of anime and are super into sports, maybe that's one of my tickets in. It's a way to just like a get a foot in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it has been pretty easy to read. It's well drawn, so it's really easy to absorb all of the action without having to decipher the drawings at all.
Sure.
Because, there are some series that, are just better drawn than others, better sense of perspective, movement, yada, 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 art composition stuff that, if I were to talk about, I would be exposed as the fraud that I am posting about talking about art things. But, it's a very easy to read series, both in terms of, you just want to keep reading, but also just visually easy to read, easy to pick up, easy to keep going.
And that's the great thing with any like literature is something that you want to pick up and not put down. Yeah,
absolutely. You got to have that like good pacing of like, rest time, but also like, I want to see what happens next. I want to see, are they going to win? Are they going to lose? What's their season going to look like?
Yeah,
yada, yada, yada.
Is Katniss going to die? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I was actually like rereading some Hunger Games.
Oh, really?
This week, off of just raw coincidence. I wasn't going to bring it up since it was just a short bit, but I did reread some of Catching Fire over the past week.
See, Anthony, it's like I said, the chemistry's there. We just pick up the vibes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely. But that's the last large bit of my week.
Nice.
Was reading a good portion of iShield 21. I'm about a third of the way through so far.
All right.
It's a bit over 300 chapters.
Oh my gosh.
So definitely a lengthy serialization. It ran for, I think, about 7 years as a series.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, one other series I read, One Piece, has been going longer than I've been alive. It started in 1997. It's still going.
I have heard of One Piece actually. My friend,
yeah.
A couple of my friends in high school were really into it. They would always tell me about it, and I never got into it.
It's great.
But I've heard nothing but good things as far as I can remember.
It's like the quintessential pirate thing, right above Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. Like that fun like fantasy type, just good time type thing.
Yeah. Well, lovely to hear about your literature endeavors and what you've been up to. Shall we start to transition into our main content of the week?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So this week's main topic is escape rooms.
I'm so
excited. I really
excited.
wish I could see our audience, because I would really like to just see a show of hands of who has done an escape room and who hasn't done one before. So maybe just comment. If you have done, maybe give us your record of how many escape rooms you've gotten out of versus how many that you failed to get out before the time limit, or something like that. Yeah. I want to see what level of escape room goodness we're at in our audience.
Well, as one of the learners, kind of learning along with the audience, as this is you're more of the resident expert on this kind of thing. I'll start us off. I have done 3 escape rooms. Funnily enough, every one I've done was with Mark. You guys remember Mark? We will probably bring him up in every episode. I wouldn't be surprised. He's the reason that Tony
being a guest one time.
I talked to him about it actually, and he said, "I think he said," and I quote, maybe."
All right.
A very Mark answer.
We'll get him on in some way. We'll threaten him. We'll do something to get him going.
Just we'll kidnap him out of his room, or I don't know. You'll make a surprise visit here to Iowa.
I've kidnapped him before.
Oh, okay.
It's not too hard.
I don't. But I believe it.
Yeah, no, we have.
But I believe it's not hard.
But before we talk about our individual experiences with escape rooms, we should probably lay out what it is. Just
for anybody that hasn't done or isn't familiar with escape rooms.
Yeah, so the most basic, what an escape room is, in its most pure form, you and a group of people, maybe in the range of 4 to 12 people, are taken into a room that probably has some kind of theme that can vary between, I've done a knockoff Game of Thrones one, all the way to a mad scientist, all the way to a full complete haunted house, with 3 different levels to explore.
I've heard about
but
that
you're
one.
taken in and are just told that you have until your time runs out to solve the puzzles present in this room, solve probably some sort of through line mystery throughout all of the puzzles, and escape the room before the time runs out. So it's kind of like a time pressure version of a scavenger hunt, or a more themed. What's the word that I'm looking for? Like it's like a more themed, more involved version of a series of riddles or a riddle book or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That requires teamwork, a lot of lateral thinking, more physical thinking, with different objects and different elements in your room, to piece together the mystery and escape in time.
I think from what I know about escape rooms, I obviously haven't done a whole lot of them, but one of the coolest things is like just figuring out not only like the puzzles, but figuring out what you can even interact with, that like if it's even like part of the room / part of the puzzle. Like there's just so much that goes into it.
Yeah, because a lot of escape rooms are really Disney-esque in that they really, really commit to establishing a central theme when you're inside of the escape room. Like when you go to, I don't know, like the Buzz Lightyear ride in Futureland in Disney World, there's like they establish that you are a recruit into the Buzz Lightyear Academy. I unfortunately cannot remember what it is. Probably Galactic Federation or something. And like all of the decorations and everything is trying to sell you that you are the role that they're selling you.
Even your intonation and everything you just said, like as if you were part of the movie. You said you are, and of course I could only think of toy.
Toy.
You are a toy.
So Ryan, of the 3 escape rooms that you've done, what were those themes of the ones that you've done, just to help give our audience an idea of some themes or what they might see if they were to take part in an escape.
Yeah, I was actually trying to think about that because I wasn't sure what they were when you were talking about it. I was like, well, I should probably try to remember what I had done. The most recent one I did was a jailbreak, so that was pretty fun.
Nice.
It took us out of our cells into like the next level of the jail, up into like the office and stuff like that. We did one that was like, I don't remember what like the theme it was. It was almost like a shack or like a gold mine type theme, like a hieroglyphics. Like it was like I think it was like Indiana Jones kind of theme based. I don't remember exactly.
So like Gold Rush, like California, Wild West, kind of.
It was more of like ruins.
Okay.
I think I don't remember what exactly the theme was for that one, but it was still pretty cool. And then the first one I ever did was like a fantasy theme, like a kind of a Harry Potter meets.
So
Harry Potter meets like, I don't know, Narnia.
Yeah.
Like having to go through portals and stuff.
Kind of typical-ish fantasy world.
Like very, very like standard, like general fantasy.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will say my record.
So then, what's your record on getting out of your rooms? For the 3 that you've done.
Well, I guess, like I said, I have not a lot of experience with escape rooms, but I think my experience tells me gives me enough understanding to know that I have a very kind of unfair 1 for 3.
Okay.
Right. So the first one, like I said, I've done all of them with Mark. I never did an escape room until college, and there was this one that opened up around here, and it was my first one. According to Mark, it was okay. It was not like not his favorite one by far, but it was still fun. It was the fantasy one that we did. And we didn't win that one because there was some faulty equipment.
Oh, and that's a bummer.
We had like 5 minutes left, and if it had worked, all it would have done was unlocked a key, which was the last key we needed to get out. And
that counts. They
didn't give it to us.
Yeah, they can say that, whatever, but like that counts.
Yeah, there was
especially with faulty equipment. That's not your fault.
That was probably the biggest one, like the biggest group we ever brought. It was like 10 of us, maybe closer to 12. Then I did one when we went to Milwaukee last year. That was like the one I'm kind of struggling to remember a bit the theme, but we actually beat that one. That was just me and my roommates here, and then that one we beat, and then me and Mark did one that was designed for I think 8 or 10 people, just the two of us. And we realized how bad we did when we couldn't get out of the second part of the room, and the time ran out, and just realized there was a whole other part we didn't even get to.
Oh boy.
It was tough when there was only two of us, but we thought we could take on the challenge. It was a minimum two, so we thought we could do it. But nonetheless, it was a really, really cool one.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So
So
you
what's-
said
oh, yeah, go ahead.
the third one that you like were split up with Mark, right? Like
Yeah.
one of you started in one cell and one of you started in the other cell, and you had to like communicate with each other.
Yeah, so what I had kind of anticipated was that it was going to be a lot more of like, I have this, what do you have, what information from me do you need? It was more of like, we had pretty much the information we needed. Like, there was a crossword in mine, and I had all like the codes, but there was like one I'd like some, like we couldn't like reach each other, so there wasn't anything we could give each other. So it was
Yeah.
just like talking each other through figuring it out. Sometimes there was like Mark would have something that would help, but it wouldn't like give me the answer per se. But yeah, we'd start in opposite cells, and we would get out of the cell. We would move to, then we would like join up and do the rest of it together.
Yeah, very nice. That sounds like it's not like a super common setup in escape rooms, but there's
Yeah.
pretty often can be a handicap to start off the beginning of the escape room to make things more interesting.
It was certainly a cool like aspect to it.
Yeah.
It was almost like a little bit more precious because you have to figure out how to get together before you can do the rest of it.
Yeah.
But it's the pressure that's like, for me, that's the pressure that was the fun part. The adrenaline. Like I
absolutely.
want to beat this. That's why
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed with my record as of now. But that's okay. Only gonna beat him from now on.
I think you'll pump the numbers up, like the more that you do, especially like once you've gotten the hang of it. It's you can get like a pretty solid record going.
I believe it,
Of
especially
escape rooms.
especially when I do it with more than one person.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Anthony, I know you are obviously the more experienced escape room artist than out of the two of us. Tell me your record.
Yeah,
Tell us
so
your record, excuse me.
I don't should start with a disclaimer. I don't remember exactly how many escape rooms I've played at this point in time. I estimate that I've done over 20.
Wow,
I might be getting close to 30,
that's
but
dope.
I'm getting overall pretty close. Of that, we'll say, just for the sake of a nice pleasing number, that I've done 25.
Lovely.
Of my 25 escape rooms, I have won 23 of them.
Wow.
Have a pretty large winning record on everything. And one of those escape rooms that I quote-unquote lost, we got the final solution, but the final thing that we had to do was brew a potion, and we put in all the ingredients, and brewing the potion took 15 seconds, and I believe we ran out of time about 5 to 10 seconds before the potion was done. So
was that the haunted house one?
No, it wasn't the haunted house one. We got out of that one with a decent amount of time to spare. But the brewing the potion, it's like we were more or less complete. We solved all of the riddles. Just the mechanics of the room didn't let us get out in time.
Yeah. I've experienced that. That'll happen.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But some overall highlights of some different escape rooms that I've done. There was one where everyone started handcuffed behind their back. And one of the first things
cool.
to do was to get out of the handcuffs. I'm a pretty spry and flexible guy, so I was able to just get my handcuffs in front of me and, work with that for the beginning of the escape room. I've also done the bit where two teams were separated from each other and we had to shout information back and forth between each other. The one that we've brought up a few times, the haunted house escape room, was a special escape room company that normally they ran 3 different rooms in in this building that they did, but for a limited time, they renovated the entire building, so all 3 floors of this place, to be a single escape room built for 15 to 20 people that lasted 90 minutes. It was a very, very intense and exciting escape room, but we got out with, I think, 15 to 20 minutes to spare. So did overall pretty well with it.
I mean, that's
Um,
definitely the one. So Mark, you've done that one with Mark and with your high school
yeah.
friends, and
Yep.
he's told.
Oh, it wasn't with high school friends. It was
Oh,
Mark. Slight bit of personal information. Mark was employed by my mother at a cafe for a decent amount of
I
time,
did know that.
and my mom really liked taking her employees on escape
That's
room
right.
trips
Yep.
to build camaraderie between everyone. So
He did
it
tell me that.
was I got to piggyback on a large group that was already going to boost up my numbers to be the appropriate amount for that.
And he's told me a decent amount about that one because obviously like the escape rooms are super interesting to me and I would love to partake in more. But he
Yeah,
said that one was fairly elaborate compared to
absolutely.
some of the other ones he's done.
So like there was a basement area where the lights were completely pitch black and you had to go down and use a walkie-talkie to talk with people that were on the top floor of the building to communicate what you were feeling inside different holes so that they could
Ooh,
get everything set up to get I think either something else opened up or to get lights going on in the basement.
I mean, I guess it is a haunted house, so you really have to have a level of like, I'm gonna have to just trust this.
Yep. You got to have a spooky bit for sure.
And I feel like, I guess I don't know exactly, but I haven't come across any, let alone many, like multi-level escape rooms.
Yeah. It's pretty rare, admittedly.
I feel like that's kind of what I
'cause,
thought.
it takes a pretty big commitment because, normally you would use the multiple levels for multiple rooms, but you have to be willing to commit to, instead of having multiple rooms with multiple sources of revenue, you have one room that everybody has that you have to sell to people properly.
I believe it.
Another highlight was for a writing assignment one time, signed up for an escape room that only had a single slot open, and I didn't know anybody else that was at the escape room. I showed up, and all of the other players were actually family members on a family reunion activity. And I was the lone stranger that didn't know any of them.
That
Everyone else was on their first escape room. I had done at least 10 at that point in time.
that is a
So
great story. Just before you
Oh,
even
yeah.
tell us more about it, that's just that premise is
Yeah. I'd really like to do it again because just meeting a whole bunch of people like that, whether or not they know how to do escape rooms, it's like, well, we're gonna talk to each other and we're gonna just do this fun activity together, whether we like it or not.
what I feel like.
Because we want to get out.
I guess from my experience, a lot of the escape rooms I've done where it's like the one Mark and I did, it was meant for like 8 to 10 people, but we just reserved the whole thing. And like that's
Yeah.
another new one that's around here. But I guess maybe some you will just rent out the room and some you just rent out spots, which sounds like that's what you did. Which is,
Yeah.
and I think the best part of that story is, it's not like if you go to an escape room or you go do whatever and you meet all these random people, cool. But you were the only person that wasn't part of this giant family
Yep.
reunion. And
Yep.
and the best, what I can imagine is the best part is you were the expert. Like they all had to listen to you.
Yeah, they more or less had, and they like figured some stuff out. And I also
That's
remember
awesome.
that was another escape room that I lost. So my record's actually either 23 for 26 or it's 22 for 25, whichever one you want to call it.
Sure.
I forgot that was another one that I lost.
Rough.
And that one I think was the farthest away I had been from actually finishing an escape room. Like the other two that I lost, it's like we needed to do one final thing in order to make it out, but that last one we had like I think like 2 to 3 different puzzles that we had to solve in order to finish off the escape room.
Sounds like the Wilsons really dragged you down there.
Yeah, it was
Admittedly,
rough, but
yep,
it was
they did.
fun. Yeah, but it was worthwhile.
Oh, I bet it was still fun. I mean, even if you don't win, but
Absolutely.
I would have like felt so weird in that situation. I would have showed up and like expected to meet all these like other high school or college kids and just be like, "Oh, guys, we're gonna kill this. It's gonna be fun." Not like,
Well,
I mean, I'm sure it was a fun time anyway. But in that situation, I would have been like, "I don't belong here."
yeah, I mean, it was really just a break out of my shell type moment because it's like, I'm here. It's kind of a writing assignment type thing to, experience like a group of people that I'm not normally a part of.
Right.
So I just got to go in and go for it.
And I feel like I'm a pretty outgoing guy. Like I'm happy to get to know people, but like when the group is existent,
it's preordained, and they're even
Yeah.
family members. It's not even friends. It's like
Like
these people are blood.
blood.
They are blood with each other.
Maybe that'd be like a fun way to like meet long lost family. Like, I don't know. Like, what a weird coincidence that would be. Because I don't know. Actually,
Absolutely,
I guess
yeah.
I don't know if I've told you this. I have a sister I didn't know about until freshman year of college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, maybe, I guess long lost is a poor way to describe it, but a sister I didn't
Yeah.
know about nonetheless. And what if like there's this giant family and they're like, oh yeah, as you're playing maybe like a shipwreck theme, like I mean I'm just building the narrative here, a shipwreck themed escape room, and they're like, yeah, well that's funny, we do this every year to commemorate our son that we lost in a shipwreck, and you're like, weird, I washed up on this beach, and they're just like, you're just like, wait a minute. And then you just like that escape rooms would be really become part of your tradition. Like we did, this is how we found our lost son, Gregory. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think just like with every other escape room fanatic, the past 2 years have been on the slower side.
Sure. Busy with jobs. And
there have been, well, not just with jobs. It's like with the pandemic.
Duh.
It's a lot harder to actually go in person and go someplace. But there have been a number of different ways that escape rooms have evolved and adapted to accommodate the pandemic age.
Yeah.
So one way is there are escape rooms out of a box where you can buy an escape room at a store, maybe like a board game store or a novelty store or something like that. You can bring it home and you get more or less the whole experience of an escape room, not like a full dedicated room, but you still get a box with different elements and mysteries that you have to solve, and you still get like the whole puzzle thing. If you want to, you can time yourself. Whenever I've done those, I never did, because if I bought a physical thing and I don't have time pressure, I'm solving it. I'm getting to the end no matter what.
Right.
You're not taking that away from me.
Yeah, that way like the time doesn't constrain you, like it doesn't like deter you from finishing it. Like if you don't get it done in the time, you're like, oh well, I guess just look at the answer now.
Yeah, and those are pretty fun. Like compared to actually doing an escape room, those I think are pretty cheaper or cheaper because
Probably, yeah.
you can only do them once, since a lot of them have elements that you'll have to break or rip or something while you're going through the room.
I realized actually that like I was thinking about it as you said that it's like a one and done thing, but I guess I didn't even think that it's not only something that you can do once, it's that the game can only be played once, because there's pieces that, wow, that's, I mean, certainly an investment if that's something you're super into, but I mean, there are some like board games like this kind of reminds me of like Hunt to Killer, which I've actually never played, but like those mystery games where like once you solve the case, it's over. But other people can play it. As far as I can tell, can probably play it. This is like a whole other level. Like you can only play it anybody can only play it the one time.
Yeah. So another way that escape rooms have at least, I don't know if they've flourished, but they've at least started exploring throughout the pandemic age. They've actually just taken to Discord and other voice chat services to do everything that they need to.
Really? How does that work?
You will. So the way that works, you like sign up, you pay for it just like a normal escape room, and you are sent an invite, I think about 24 hours before your game starts. So you log in, and at your appointed time, you just hop into the voice channel, and your game master will hop into the voice channel, and they will guide you through the experience, kind of like how they would in their normal thing, and they'll have like drawn out maps that they will post to describe the different rooms that you're in. It's more than like an actual escape room where you're interacting with things. It's really kind of more like Dungeons and Dragons, where you have a game master that you tell them what you want to do, and they tell you whether or not you were successful in doing that.
I was kind of thinking it sounds a little bit like D&D.
Yeah. I mean, it really, really is. Like, it's very reaction based, and obviously there's more or less like one set of answers that you can do for it. They don't allow you to get too clever. But there's still a decent amount of flexibility in what you can do to get everything to be done. Yeah. And so one that I did online had a time travel aspect to it. which you can't really do in an actual physical escape room. They have we haven't invented time travel, so we can't do anything like that. Um, yeah, that's another way. And then the final way that I know of that escape rooms have grown and changed in the pandemic age is that they offer a box, like the escape room company, instead of buying it off of a shelf, you can rent out an escape room box from them that you take home, and the escape room is basically unfolding the box and trying to get to the center and solve everything in the box as you're going through. So I did a science fiction themed one with my family over quarantine. Whereas, actually we did not only science fiction, we did a Stranger Things themed one as well.
This all
where,
this all is, sorry to cut you off. This all kind of like
no, it's fine.
Brings me back to this time travel thing you mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah.
Imagine if, like, obviously that's not possible, but like just in the realm of like tangents and
yeah, go for it.
If you had to, like, if we had the ability to time travel and like that was a known thing that people could do, and you had to figure out how to do that in order to go back to see something you had already seen, or like mind blowing, like sick. That would, I mean, I guess that would cause a lot of problems, probably science fictionally.
Yeah,
but like
almost certainly.
But imagine how complex, like if someone took that and made it as part of an escape room, like the ball's on that guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's like some pretty classical stuff that we did with the time travel concept of, we would go back into the past, plant a seed, we'd go into the future, and it was a giant plant. Like pretty classic time travel type stuff going on there.
Yeah, I'm sure you can like incorporate it for sure without obviously actually soaring through the timeline.
Yeah. So like those box escape rooms were like a really neat way of having something a bit more in terms of production value than the online escape room or the out of the box escape room. Mm-hmm. And it was just, like a very cool experience overall. Cause like it ended with us like assembling out puzzle pieces, like for the science fiction one that looked like the Enterprise from Star Trek. And like a lot of like pretty clear science fiction or pretty clear throwbacks to different things. That was very cool and very appreciated.
I totally believe it. I guess I didn't know like how expansive the realm of like boxed escape rooms are.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like escape rooms are like a relatively new business. I was thinking that we would spend some time talking about the history of escape rooms. I'm still planning on getting to that a little bit, but they've really exploded over the past decade to the point that like, in 2010, I'd say they were a pretty rare business. Where at this point, like any somewhat major city almost certainly has an escape room business or two or three or four.
Right.
In the city somewhere.
I mean, here, even in Iowa, I guess I don't know if the one I did was probably closed, but the most recent one I did is just opened. It just popped up, so there might be two around me now. Certainly a couple in Milwaukee where my sister lives, but I definitely remember like when escape rooms became like prevalent at all, like even existed, and I thought, oh, that sounds like so cool, and everyone was like, oh, it sounds so cool, but not enough people did it until later, and now they're like kind of a fad almost.
Yeah. Well, I think unfortunately, except for the businesses that have collapsed as a result of pandemic stuff,
right.
I don't really think they're a fad anymore, since they have like a pretty stable business model, and they're like continuously drawing in new customers and stuff.
What's up, everybody? Tony is gone for the time being, for the next couple minutes probably. So it's Ryan. Hey, how's it going, guys? It's good. Thank you for joining us here and listening to the podcast. How are you guys? Comment below. We always kind of talk about some of the things that we have been doing in the last couple weeks. Tell us some stuff you guys have been up to. We want to build this community, so tell us something about you, something you've been enjoying the last week or so. We want to hear all about it. We want to hear everything you guys have to say about what we're doing here, but even more importantly, the kind of things that you guys are into, and that'll help us decide what other content to bring you. So please comment. Let us know what we can do for you. Let us know how we can change. Let us know. Just come talk to us. Just comment. Just say something. We want to talk to you. So Anyone been watching college football? Anybody see the record-breaking Illinois beating Penn State in 9 overtimes? That's crazy. Dropped Penn State down to 20 in the rankings. Surprised it didn't bring them down lower, honestly, but that's just my opinion. That's something we could talk about too, I guess. Sports or games. This is an all-around kind of games podcast, so maybe we'll start. That's something that's something I could. I'm gonna write that down. Something I could talk about to educate Tony on a bit more. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And then I think the final way, it's absolutely not a recent development of escape rooms, since it's actually where escape rooms came in the first place. But there are also there's also a game series about escape rooms. Well, not about escape rooms, but where the main gameplay is escape rooms. That actually what was inspired me to get into escape rooms in the first place. It's called the Zero Escape series. I don't have nearly enough time to summarize its plot or sell people on it. But if you like escape rooms and you're missing that and you want something science fiction related to go along with your escape rooms while you're waiting for everything else to open up properly, there's the whole escape room series called the Zero Escape trilogy that you can check out and feed some of your addiction to.
Feed it. Feed the addiction.
Yeah, feed the addiction.
Feed it. Escape rooms are fun. And I think that
it's
honestly, this is like a really cool like episode 2, I feel like, just because, obviously we talk about a lot of different kinds of games. May even do a little sneak peek into our next episode, maybe towards the end or at the end of the episode, but of this one. But yeah, escape room is kind of like in and of itself a different just game in general. Like,
yeah,
and it is. You're trying to find that win condition, trying to beat the game, and it's just cool. That's how I feel about escape rooms. They're just cool.
Yeah, they're really cool, especially to me because they're one of the first big examples that I can think of where a video game genre actually becomes something we do in real life. Since from the research that I did into escape room history, they originally started as online games that you would just play called
I was thinking about
proper
that
word for it.
Yeah, there was
they're called like escape the room games,
like escape the women's bathroom,
like the room escape or escape rooms, escape games.
There was
where
like different
it's
ones.
really focused on it's really focused on finding items within an environment that's presented to you. I think a classic one is like you're stuck in a bathroom, so you have to click on everything, find everything you can to assemble the materials so that you can escape, and that's pretty clear how that was transitioned into escape rooms,
into like a physical or in the actual room.
Yeah, and from what other research I did, I even saw that they were there are a few different places or a few different ways that people are saying that escape rooms began. Some say that they started as a video game released in 2004 in Japan called Crimson Room, that then was turned into an actual physical concept in 2007 in Japan. Some say that they started as text adventures in the 90s, kind of like your Zork thing, where it's like, you say, oh, you are blank, and so you have to say, oh, turn left, pick up blank, all these other text-based prompts in order to actually do everything you need to in order to escape the room. So there's a bit of argument as to how they actually began, but they more or less began as a video game concept that people thought were really neat and wanted to actually do in real life. And I think, as a lot of other sources that I've seen have talked about, is escape rooms are really a response to a demand for more engaging entertainment, where you're not just sitting back
and watching,
and passively engaging in it. You are one of the key story makers in the escape room narrative. And they're usually not that involved narratives, but it's up to you as to whether or not you escape or not. That is something
you're driving the story.
You decide if you're good enough.
Right, when you read a book, the character is driving the story, but that whole story is already written. That character is already destined to do everything. And if you, it's like when you imagine yourself being in a TV show, which I'm sure everyone's done, kind of like as like, for example,
Absolutely.
Avatar: Last Airbender.
Guaranteed.
Everybody has always pretended they could bend an element at some point. Like, I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I've been in the shower and
certainly.
tried to move the water. I've done it. I have. But like,
Oh yeah, it's called like cupping your hands and like throwing it against the wall.
exactly, and it, it makes a splash, and it makes me feel better. But anyway, but yeah, it's like exactly kind of what you said. You're driving the story, but that story isn't written, so it's like as if you were in that video game or that book or that TV show, but like you're actually in it, like you're actually driving it. It's your like life. It's all real, and it's
Yeah, and you also get like those really satisfying moments that are, even more satisfying than seeing a character figure something out or figure out a plot element or a puzzle or something. It's like when you actually connect the threads in an escape room and you're the one to solve the puzzle that everybody else is stuck on and make progress. That is a near unmatched feeling that really only escape rooms can do at this point in time. Especially as like a group activity that you can share with with more than just yourself.
I feel like it's like you said earlier. It's like it's a feeling you can't. It's not really matched, and you even kind of hinted on it earlier when you were talking about how they're like kind of the only iteration of like real life video games that we have. And I'm just thinking, I feel like it's the only iteration of like a lot of different aspects of games that we don't have, and it's.
Yeah.
You feel like as you and I are very versed in different types of games, like you'd think that there's more things like that, or there's more aspects of this that you'd find other places, but there just really isn't. And maybe that's part of the reason it's just so unique. That uniqueness is what makes it so exciting.
Yeah. I mean, because, I can say this repeatedly. There's nothing like escape rooms. There's nothing like that feeling of knowing for the next 60 minutes you are locked in this world and you are working by this world's rules and you have to get out. Otherwise, you face the never-ending shame of failure.
I guess that's a very like tough way to put it, but I see what you mean.
Yeah.
But
it is a bit tough. I'm being definitely a bit dramatic. I'm not.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like with your versatility in escape rooms, I feel like it probably kind of feels that way for you, at least a little bit. But not to deter anybody away from doing them. If you lose, it's not the biggest deal. It's just fun to do them, and then just to think that you solved it, if you do solve it, is super fun. It makes you want to do
well. And also
more.
for newcomers for escape rooms, a lot of websites that advertise escape rooms also advertise difficulty ratings for all of their rooms. So if you are worried about actually starting up an escape room or trying one for the first time, I can almost guarantee that if there's an escape room company near you, that they have rooms designed for newcomers and designed to for people who haven't done them before to play through them and get a general handle on the idea of an escape room.
Absolutely. I think I've everywhere I've gone, they would be like, are you guys like new? Do you want to try like a newer one? Or like you can also like call them and just ask them, just be forward and be like, I'm new to this, what would you recommend?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a good point. If you're new, let them know. Or if you're new, let us know. Comment below. Let us know if there's anything else we can recommend to you.
Yeah. Oh, and also in another way to assuage the fears of newcomers, every single escape room I've played at this point in time has had some kind of hint system or another. Because
while
point. The game runners won't give you every single answer, they do want you to actually finish the escape room. Mm-hmm. So while some rooms limit the clues to 3, and some will have an infinite amount of clues, or maybe some will, if you use a clue, they'll deduct it from your score,
or like your time
calculating,
left,
or whatever. Any number of those things. Getting stumped on a single puzzle isn't the end of an escape room. You can have other people figure it out. You can get the game masters to give you a clue, or maybe you will just fail. And that's just how it is sometimes.
And I think the best part of it is no matter what the result of your escape room is, and I think this is the genius behind whoever like actually got these really started and popular, is the fact that no matter what the result is, you're going to want to do them again. Like, if you fail,
Yeah.
you at least, for speaking from experience, if you fail, whether that's a just or a unjust failure,
Yeah.
you want to go back and do another one so that you can say you succeeded. And if you succeeded, you're like, oh, I can't wait to do another one that was awesome.
Yeah. I got a test to see if this was just a fluke
That too.
or whether I really am that good.
Maybe I'm just really that bad and I don't know, but I hope I don't. I'm a pretty smart guy, I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah. I think so.
I
yeah.
appreciate that. I will say, and this is something I totally mentioned. I wanted to mention at the beginning of like the main topic part of the of this episode. The last time I did an escape room, me and Mark walked in and we're like, "What do we do?" It was just like a room,
Yeah.
and there was like a couch and a stuff. It's just like a room with nothing in it. And we're like waiting, and we're like, "Hello!" And then all of a sudden, this bookcase opens, and that's the door to the back.
Yep.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
Part of us,
Well, because there are some like feelings that unless you're super duper rich, you can really only feel in escape rooms. Like I've always wanted to either own a house or be in a house that has a secret passage of some
yeah. Oh, it's
And
like
the
wish
only
fulfillment. It really is
way
D&D.
that I can explore. Yeah, it is. It's gigantic wish fulfillment, and the only way that I can fulfill that desire of, I pull the book on the bookshelf, and the bookshelf twists, and now I'm in a new room. I can't feel that in an actual real life mansion since I'm not that rich, but I can feel it in an escape room, and that's good enough.
So basically, what we're saying is, if you are rich, you already get to feel this, but
Yeah.
escape rooms are still fun because you may have things that aren't. I don't know, that you may have these secret passages, but I guess I don't know. Maybe we're saying escape rooms aren't for you. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true.
Yeah, maybe they aren't. Who knows?
No, they're. I mean, I'm sure no escape room is going to be like your house. They're trying to find the stuff. Maybe if you're rich, you just have an advantage, and you can just like you've got like the rich person who knows all the intricacies, and then you've got the brains. You've got like this crew
that's
of
the person
people.
that you need on your team. You need the hacker. You need the brains. You need the seducer, and you need the rich.
You need the
person.
money. Like you need the muscle,
Yeah.
and you need the money. Oh,
No, the money is separate from the rich person.
oh,
That's different.
We should like maybe like combine, like get people together, like role play or like almost like cosplay. Be like, all right, who's gonna be who?
That's almost turning into a murder mystery night.
Perfect. Oh, that would be fun.
Oh, I think we're going to talk about that. I haven't done a murder mystery night before.
All right, that's you're already typing it. You beat me to it.
Yep. That's going in our list of topic ideas.
That's perfect. I added a couple while you were gone too.
Yeah, I saw those. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's escape rooms.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to know about escape rooms?
Ooh, I like that
we
question.
could fit in this last bit.
I feel like you covered everything. You honestly covered what I thought plus some. Like you went into the history of like how they became. I thought that was super cool because I love doing them and kind of understanding where they come from, and just how related they are to a lot of different games is another reason it's perfect for this podcast.
Yeah, I'll be sure to post. So for listeners, I will post a few different links to a few different sources that I've used to piece together the history of escape rooms. Yes, because as I said earlier, there are a lot of different ways that people like consider like the origin of escape rooms. Yeah, so I will post that, and if you're interested a bit more, then you can take a look and maybe get some reading in yourself.
For sure. Yeah, so like I said, I think you kind of hit it on the nail. I don't have a whole lot more questions, but hey, if you guys have any questions or if you have any really cool, if you have any like just super cool like successes or really funny failures in your escape rooms, comment below. Let us know.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear them, and we'd love for you guys to kind of tell us all about it.
Or if you've been to a really cool themed escape room, there are a
Yes.
few different themed escape rooms that, only ran for a limited amount of time and were on the other side of the country that I wasn't able to get to. The game series I mentioned earlier apparently had, there was a Zero Escape themed escape room that ran in 2016 out in San Francisco, and I don't have the money to fly out to San Francisco.
Yeah.
So if you did do that and want to tell us about it, or if you did any other cool escape room, absolutely.
If you're one of those,
tell us your escape room stories.
if you're one of those rich people, or if you're the money of your operation and were able to fly out to San Francisco and do that, let us know what it was like to be that role in an escape room, but also just let us know how it was, because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's all we got.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Pongers.
Thank you guys so much.
Ryan's going to be taking the lead next week, and I'll let him talk about his topic next week.
All I'm gonna say about next week is I'm gonna have a drink with our episode. I have a lot of great stuff planned, and I can't wait for you guys to come and join us back here for that one. You can hear the giddiness in my voice.
We'll see everyone for episode 3 of Pongers next week. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you later.
Bye.